But that's not all. Secondly, how did the first century culture view resurrection? Well, now we're thinking this has got to be more favorable. I mean, this is overcoming death. And so surely people are going to be more receptive to this particular message. Not so. Acts chapter 17, verse 30 through 32 picks up on this. Paul, by the way, in context, is in Athens, the center of the intellectual universe, the Greco-Roman culture. He was up speaking philosophers on Mars Hill. So these are the deepest thinkers of that present time, and he's presenting his message. And he comes down to his close with this. In the past, God overlooked such ignorance, worshiping idols in the way you lived before. But now he commands all men everywhere to repent. For he has set a day on which he will judge the world and justice by the man he has appointed. They weren't upset by any of that. They believed there was some accountability. He has given proof of this to all men by raising him from the dead. Then he said that when they heard about resurrection of the dead, some of them sneered. Scared. Another said, no, we want to hear you again on this subject. Well, maybe you can explain it better. The resurrection, that sounds kind of strange to us. It doesn't sound strange to us. Well, this beautiful word that we put all kinds of meaning. It's life after death. Not so in the first century world. Not so. Now, again, let's go back and look what the beliefs were. What were the beliefs in the first century culture about what happened after you died? The beliefs in the Greco-Roman world about life after death are similar to our societies today. Some believed you ceased to exist after death. That's it. Except in the memory, if you were a heroic figure or a family member. In other words, you lived on in the memory of others. That's it. And if you were a great hero figure, a great warrior, a great conqueror, maybe you'd live on for many generations in many people's minds. Others believed that people existed after death in kind of a shadowy world of slumber, which really is inferior to our own. So, they kind of live on, but really this world is a bright, lively place to be preferred over the world of the dead. And then some believed in his day that you went to a heavenly realm of bliss. However, the Greek word translated resurrection in the New Testament fits none of these views. Now, we've tended to interpret it in light of the last one. You go on to heavenly bliss. That's, however, is not what the word resurrection means. The Greek word translated resurrection fits none of these because it basically describes something different, something that was not the norm. It describes something very distinct from that. It was referring to a bodily resurrection. That's what we're talking about. A bodily resurrection. If you will, what the Bible's view is that there's going to be life, a bodily life after death. We'll initially be disembodied spirits when we die, but ultimately at the judgment day, we're going to be raised and given bodies, not the same old body, not resuscitating the same body, decayed or in whatever form, but a new body, one that will not perish, and we'll be given this new body. So the biblical view is that resurrection is life after death. In a new world with a resurrection body. And to recognize this, really only a small group of Jews, known as Pharisees, believed in such a concept. Nobody else in the ancient world believed in such a concept. So not only was it not popular, that's why they sneered at it. Because none of the Greeks believed that. They thought, that's a weird idea. I mean, Plato and Aristotle and Socrates and all taught that the body was dirty and evil. So who wanted another body? They were prejudiced against such a concept. Matter of fact, even among the Jews, it was not the majority opinion. But we can see that in the book of Acts. Acts chapter 23, verse 6 through 8. Paul gets arrested, and now he's talking before the Sanhedrin, has a mixture of Pharisees and Sadducees in it. Then Paul learned that some of the Sadducees and the Pharisees called out in the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. I stand on trial because of my hope in the resurrection of the dead." When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. And he has to give this explanatory note because the Greek audience wouldn't know this. The Sadducees say that there is no resurrection. They don't believe in that. They were the ones in control of the temple. And that they're neither angel or spirit. Sounds like a lot of modern people. Life is kind of what you have now. Of course, the Sadducees tended to be part of the aristocracy. Life was good for them, relatively speaking, so they thought that's all there was. But the Pharisees acknowledged them all. Resurrection, angels, and spirits, they believed in them all. And so here we're taking a group. Josephus says there were about 6,000 Pharisees in his day, the latter part of the first century. 6,000. So here, Christianity is going to make a part of this message, resurrection hope, of which you got 6,000 Jews who are trying to persuade some of the Jewish population, but haven't succeeded because the Sadducees have a different viewpoint, and they're really the leaders of the spiritual community until later, after the time of Christ. And so the bottom line is, this was not an appealing concept. If you were going to make up a story, not only did you not have your hero crucified, you wouldn't have him resurrected either. Here's the bottom line. There's no reason a first century person would create a story that involved their hero and crucifixion or resurrection if they wanted average people to believe it on its face value. That was not an appealing message in the first century world. So why did Christians tell such a story? If it's not an appealing story and you're making up the story, why would you make up a seemingly implausible story that people didn't believe in these concepts? They considered these things shameful and they considered them to be impossible. If you're trying to appeal to others, I suggest you there's only one rational reason. You can come up with a lot of rational reasons. Only one rational reason, because it's what really occurred. They told that story because that's what really happened. And whether appealing to the Jews, nope, stumbling block. They wanted a hero, a messianic king who was militarily victorious. This was a stumbling block. Allow the enemy to crucify you? That's not a hero. And the Greeks were looking for great wisdom, and they considered this sort of thing, resurrection, crucifixion, what does that have to do with anything? That's just not right. That's foolishness. And yet that's the message that they went forward with, because it's what really happened. No other way to explain it.